What's going on, guys? We are back for another episode on spooling up performance. So we ran into some issues with the Speed3. So we kept having those exhaust leaks coming from the wastegate flange. Last episode we tried to tack the bolts from the flange going into the manifold so that they would stay in place and stay tight. They worked a little bit longer this time, but I don't think the welds penetrated all the way through to hold itself onto the manifold. So today we are tearing apart the car. We're ripping the turbo out, ripping the manifold out, and we're going to take the manifold over to have the flange welded on completely so we don't have to deal with it anymore. We're just trying to eliminate the ass pain of bringing everything out because it's in a really tight spot and it's really hard to get to weld it onto the manifold itself. So stay tuned and you'll be back to work on the car. Okay, so far got the intake and everything off, windshield cowl off, exhaust off. We're gonna just wait for this to cool down just a little bit more. But yeah, we're gonna pull the turbo off the manifold, pull the manifold off the car, and then bring the manifold with the flange to the fabricator to have that welded on real quick. Alright, so got a little bit more done. Wastegate's off. We're getting there. So the problem is that this flange at the bottom has two bolts in it and they keep backing out, so we're just gonna weld it to there. And got the turbo almost off. I just gotta get the drain line off, and then we will pull the manning off, and then we'll take the manning and that flange over to get welded, and then put everything back on. Then we should be good. So also, the car is just pretty stupid fast. It's doing pretty well, as you can see from the last video. And for those of you who don't know, I like to push stock limits, so the factory clutch is taking a shit finally. It took a pretty hard beating for the first like 2 weeks on the tune, and the 380 horsepower I had on the GTX 3071 setup took a hard beating. Its life is over. I have a clutch kit coming. I'll be running a ACT 6-puck HD clutch with the Streetlight flywheel, so that'll be coming maybe next week. And then we will be doing that. It's not terrible enough yet to where it's like not drivable. Just at the top of the RPM range, when it's really like, when I'm really letting the car eat, is when it's starting to slip. So that'll be coming up probably next week or so. Maybe next weekend we'll be pulling the trans out to get the clutch in. So it's a little update on that. Get a chance to film at the fabricator. It's all welded up. It is the same day. It was only about 2 hours till I was able to get back here. Got it all welded. We're just putting everything back together now. Manifold's almost done. Just tighten up the last few bolts. And then we'll slap the turbo back on and start getting everything else buttoned up. Turbo's back on. Just gotta get a wrench on this, tighten that down. Going underneath the car right now. I'm gonna put the oil drain line on the bottom, and then put the wastegate back on, and then I'll lower the car down, put the exhaust back on, and the intake, windshield cowl tray, and we'll be good. So we'll get back to you when we get all that. Okay, so we had a slight issue. I showed you everything was getting put back on. I actually had to rip everything back out because that wastegate flange is a pain in the ass to get on from underneath the car. So I ripped the turbo out, ripped the manifold out, put the wastegate on while the manifold was out, made it a lot easier to put on. And then I put everything back on. Everything's all set up now. I got my intake to angle even more down this way, so that's good. I'm leaving the turbo blanket off. I've messed it up quite a bit from having the V-band bolt sticking out like that. I should really have it facing sort of down towards the back or something, because it really tore up the blanket. So I'm gonna leave it off for now. I have to take my pipe off this week, and probably tomorrow or something like that. I'm pretty busy this week, but the end of the pipe, the V-band flange to the flange of the turbo, it's a little bit off on like 2 spots, so it's not completely sealed to the turbo. So there is a tiny little bit of exhaust leak there. Not enough to notice, but I know it's there, so it's bothering me. I apologize, it's probably about 2 days after the last bit of the video when I was putting stuff together. It came down with a pretty nasty cold. So I've been kicking it in the house and procrastinating on the car because I feel like death. But it's all back together now, and it'll be like that for about a week, because once I get the clutch in, the whole trans is coming out. But as you guys know, it's my daily driven race car, and I have to get to and from work. So that's the life I live right now. It's whatever, and I take it one day at a time. So that's it for this episode. Make sure if you like the video, you go ahead and hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. There'll be more videos to come. We're gonna have a sweet teardown next week. I'm actually thinking about having a bunch of the local Mazda guys in the Nader, Tennessee and Kentucky group come over for like a big like install day / meet, barbecue, stuff like that. So we'll get to tearing down on the clutch and stuff, and get her up and going again. Get her a healthy clutch so she can eat. But that's it. We'll see you later. Peace.